What's up, guys? It is KingOnyx here. Today, we're going to be going over the expansion spoilers for Unearthed Prophecies Day 1 and 2. Yep, so let's just hop in. I have the first card here, Glacial Fissure. So this is a Vanar spell. Deal 8 damage to everything in the center column. I've talked about this card in the Duelyst Discord and on the forums, but to go over it again, I think this card is bad, honestly. I think it's like borderline unplayable. But at the same time, I think if it's playable, then it's going to be really amazing. So this is just right off the bat, it's very high risk. High risk is putting it in your deck is a high risk because it's probably going to be a dead card for most of the game. High reward because if you get this thing to work, it does a lot of damage. This is something like, I think this card is bad though because the effect is just way too narrow. Like, let's say you do get this to work right. You hit your opponent with this Glacial Fissure. They're in the middle of the board for whatever reason. Like, you spent 3 mana to deal 8 damage. You spent a card to do that. Now what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, your opponent now has the tempo advantage probably because you just spent your turn dealing damage. I guess you can kind of combo this with 2-drop maybe. If you can combo this with Richard Corona and like chain these together, then that would be good. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, even if you do get it to work, I mean, it's still a lot of damage, but damage, like normally you're going to be near the center column near the start of the game, so damage at that point in the game isn't as important as damage later on in the game when you have like more things on the board and you can just generally actually push to the lethal range, right? So yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool card, but I actually like the design of this because it's kind of interesting that the center column isn't safe anymore, so you have to think more about what you want to play around rather. I usually don't play around Spirit of the Wild early on in the game. Like, why would you use 5 mana? So staying on your side of the board is kind of safe until your opponent can drop a Ghost Seraphim or something. And then nobody plays Avalanche, so I guess they might with this, but I mean, if you're giving up deck slots to play Glacial Fissure and Avalanche, I don't think your deck is going to be able to make it to the point where those cards will actually ever even be useful. So yeah, other than that, I can see how this can combo with Mesmerize and Richard Corona, but I don't think it's, I think you're not going to ever be able to use it to any real effect because people are going to be playing around this and they're already playing around Warburg, so even if you do get it off, you're just going to hit like one thing, which isn't going to be enough tempo to actually finish out the game. It'd be a lot of damage, but practically no tempo most of the time. So yeah. Next, Omniseer. So let's go ahead and read the card. Omniseer, this is a Magmar minion. It is a 4 mana, 4/5, opening gamut, turn nearby friendly minion space into Primal Flourish. And Primal Flourish is a tile effect similar to Shadow Creep, but what it does is it gives a friendly minion grow +2/+2 while the minion is standing on that tile. So, for example, if the minion grows and then steps off the tile, then the minion will not have grow anymore. So right off the bat, this card has a very high stat line. Like 4 mana, 4/5 is really good. That's just 1 point of health from Hailstone Golem. And like, this stat line is no joke. Like, the card is almost playable just because of the stat line, really. But the Primal Flourish is interesting as well. I think this card will probably be good right off the bat, just looking at the stat line. But the effect is very interesting. I like this Primal Flourish effect. Like, so it's basically the equivalent of like, let's say you have a turn 1 Young Sildar, it's player 1, and you move the young Silthar onto a tile and play like a Spelljammer, and or rather, yeah, move the young Silthar onto a tile, play Spelljammer, and play Greater Fortitude on the young Silthar. That's basically what this is, except the Greater Fortitude is delayed by 1 turn. But besides that, big thing is that the Primal Flourish is available for the rest of the match, so you can continue to play minions on that tile and get more buffs and get more value, and I find that really cool. Besides the fact that this is obviously a bigger bite than Spelljammer, and with the Greater Fortitude play, that wouldn't be a good play because you wouldn't be doing anything with the young Silthar on that turn, but that was just an example. I think this card is pretty cool. I like the Primal Flourish. I like the fact that you have to position this, or rather that you have to position around that Primal Flourish effectively to be able to utilize it. And especially you have to kind of think about whether you want to do that turn 1 Young Silva or turn 2 Omniseer play, because your Primal Flourish will be kind of, it'll be near the action, but if your opponent just runs away, then it can be kind of especially if you're playing against like Lionheart with Sunbloom, so they can hit multiple things. They can hit your Primal Flourish plus Dispel a minion, and of course Lightbender and things of that nature. But it's still a very interesting card. I like it personally. Yep, pretty cool. I'm not sure if I have anything more to say about it. Yep. I do think this is a card that's actually not going to be played very much in decks similar to like Magmar decks of today. In Magmar decks, usually right now you see more things like Sunsteel, you see Drogon sometimes, you see Elucidator, not very frequently, but sometimes. And this is obviously something that you don't want to flash out on turn 1, so that kind of hurts that as well. I think this is going to be a card for a different type of Magmar deck than we see now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of support there is for a card like this. Yeah. Alright. I think this, oh yeah, next card. Endure the Beastlands. This is also a Primal Flourish, I think. Yep. Turn, well, 3 mana spell for Magmar, Endure the Beastlands. Turn a 2/2 area into Primal Flourish. Now, I think this card is not as good as Omniseer, but I think it's more interesting than Omniseer because I think this has potential to create either 1, a new archetype, or 2, a bunch of memes. So, obviously, right off the bat, the first thing that people were thinking about this card was, wow, this combo is really well with Nature's Confluence, which is the 5 mana Magmar spell that summons Battle Pets in a 2/2 area. So in 8 mana you can play Nature's Confluence plus Endure the Beastlands, but that's the meme that I was talking about. In the practical setting, or in a new archetype like I was saying, I think this could be interesting for a zoo deck. So you kind of you run a really low curve with like 2 drops and 1 drops and 3 drops, and you play this plus a minion on the mana tile on like your 4 mana turn. You put like 2 1-drops and Endure the Beastlands, and you get a bunch of buffs on your minions, and then you can continue to play minions on on the tiles that you spawned, and you continue to just get a bunch of buff value from these Primal Flourish. I don't know if that can be an effective strategy, but it seems kind of interesting. I'm not a Magmar player, so I probably won't even try that, but I think that's something to consider. Besides that, this is a very interesting card in that you have to choose where you want to position it very, very wisely, right? If you position it like too far away, where it would be safe from things like Lightbender, then you make it so any minions that you play in the area will be kind of irrelevant. If you position it too close, then, like I said, you're vulnerable to things like Lightbender and Ephemeral Shroud. So it's a very interesting positioning dynamic with this, especially the fact that your opponent can kind of run away from that Primal Flourish area. So positioning this will be a challenge, I think. Maybe not that much of a challenge. I mean, the best area to probably put it is in the middle, or close to the middle, like, yeah. But I think this is an interesting card. It's what people are asking for with positioning things, new tiles, very exciting stuff. We can skip over Perma Flourish. We already know what that does. Sinister Silhouette. So this is a 2-mana neutral minion. Has 1 attack, 2 HP, and the effect is that it cannot be attacked. So I'll just be straight. I think this card is absolutely unplayable. I could be wrong if this card gets like a bunch of support in the expansion, but I think this is gonna be bad. I don't think you want to be playing 2 mana for a 1/2 that basically does nothing. I say that it does nothing because this thing's only use is with buff cards, right? So this is basically a dead card unless you have a buff in your hand. So right off the bat, you have a contingency to playing this. The only other thing that can be used for is body blocking, which that's not even that good because of all the AoE spells in Duelyst. Like this just dies to every AoE except for Scorn and unbuffed Ghost Lightning, I guess. I think this card is bad. It could be good if there was more buffs in the expansion, but I really doubt that it would be good even with those. Even if you buff this up, it's like, yeah, it's like a dispel target. It's a dispel target, yeah, removal target. You get 2 for 1 by removal. It's just, it's very meh to me. Very bad, actually, yeah. I don't like this card, honestly. Well, it's not that I don't like it, I just don't think it's good. It's a very interesting card at that. Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I can kind of see how people think this card has potential, but I just think it doesn't seem very good to me. Yeah. Next. Mage Horn. This is a 6-mana Arcanist minion, 3 attack, 8 HP, and the effect is both players cannot cast spells that cost 2 or less. Now, I like this card. I like this card a lot. I think this card has. Okay. First of all, I think this card could be detrimental to players that to the player that's playing it. So much so that it might not be playable in normal scenarios on ladder. But at the same time, I think this could potentially create a new archetype. It's just full screen like this. So this is very interesting in that it cuts off BBS spells. It cuts off almost every removal in the game. Off of the top of my head, the only removal that this doesn't target is Blood of Air, Thumping Wave, Onyx Bear Seal, and Martyrdom, I believe. Those are only commonly played removal that it doesn't prevent. And the only other way to remove it, of course, is other than spells, and obviously trading with it is going to be Dispel, which you can kind of play around that by positioning this on the back line. This card just shuts down so many archetypes that it's pretty crazy, honestly. This is a very hard card to evaluate. I think this has potential as a control type deck built around it. Yeah, this is a hard one. I've talked about this card a little bit in the Duelyst Discord. I'm trying to think about some of the things I said. The thing with this is that it's unplayable in so many things, though. It can shut down your entire deck as well as your opponent's. I think this could be kind of interesting in a Vitruvian deck. That the control Vitruvian deck with things like Bloodbear, obviously, maybe even Dominate Will. A lot of things like that, like Sunset Paragon, and more minion type removal things. I think Vitruvian might be able to pull that off. Other than that, I think it's a very good tech against obviously Vanar and Sonkai. It pretty much shuts down the entirety of those decks. Like, it shuts down like everything in Sonkai. It shuts down Juxtaposition, Mist Dragon Seal, Phoenix Fire. What else? Doesn't shut down Killing Edge. Ghost Lightning, 8 Gates. Like, it's just, this is incredibly effective against Sonkai. And Vanar, of course, it shuts down all of their commonly played removal. Chromatic Code, Aspect of the Fox, Mad Death Grip, Flash Freeze. Like, it just destroys that deck. So this is going to be a very powerful tech against Arcanist Vanar, if that's still a thing with no expansion. It's especially in tournament scene. Like I said, I could potentially see this on ladder, but it would have to be a deck that's very specifically built to contain this card. And I'm not sure that it even really does too much on ladder against a lot of things. Like, it's not super effective against Lionar or Magmar. It can shut down Sunbloom against Lionar, but they can still do most of the things that they would normally do. And of course, Magmar doesn't shut down much that they do. Like, they can still Lava Slasher, they can still Megantor, they can still Rage Binder, things like that. But I guess if you build a deck that can also handle those things, that this could be a very very interesting card for new archetypes, in my opinion. Alright, next. We're going to be skipping Nethermelt since that was a day 3 spoiler. We'll go over that in the next video. So, Nekomata. Let's full screen this. So, I'm not too experienced with the Abyssian archetypes, but anyways, 4 mana minion, Abyssian minion. It is a 4 attack, 2 HP minion with Dying Wish. Draw 2 minions with Dying Wish from your deck. So I'm probably not going to be able to say too much about this card because, like I said, I don't know much about Abyssian. But I think this is going to be very good for Dying Wish, obviously, because that deck has a tendency to gas out very easily. And having something to help you from gassing out is, like, I think that's going to be a crucial part to having a viable Dying Wish deck. Especially the fact that this is a tutor as well, which a tutor is something that draws something specific from your deck, I believe. I think that's the proper definition. In my opinion, the fact that it's a tutor especially makes it more powerful. You can kind of fill your deck with things like Reaper of the Nine Moons, Klaxon, Vorpal Reaver, and things like that. And you can specifically draw those things, so like this is a pretty decent play in the mid game to be able to, and the late game to be able to get to the more important minions in your deck. And I guess this can draw itself, but I think you'll probably run like 2 of these in the deck so you have a lower chance to draw another one of these. And obviously this combo is very well with things like Consuming Rebirth and Deathfire Sacrifice. Honestly, I think this might be a good card in even non-Dying Wish decks. Maybe I'm wrong there. Like, I could potentially see that. Maybe. I might just be completely off there. But yeah, I think this is going to be very good for Dying Wish. I think it's it fills in a crucial missing slot in those decks, which is card draw. They had Void Hunter before, but that wasn't really enough card draw in my opinion. Alright, next card. Flame Wreath. This is the one that I've been waiting for. Alright. So, Flame Wreath. This is a Sonkai minion, 4 mana. It does 2 attack, 4 HP. The effect is, whenever this minion is moved for any reason, it deals 2 damage to all enemies around it. So, I will say what I have been saying on the Duelyst Discord. This card is Megantor for Sonkai. Like, that's basically what this is. Okay, maybe that's a little bit exaggeration. This is, I think it's actually closer to Holy Immolation for Sonkai, or Sunriser for Sonkai, but it's way better than Sunriser in my opinion. So right off the bat, I think this is going to be playable. If Sunriser managed to get played in decks, then I think this is definitely going to be played. I think this is going to be good in a mid-range Sonkai deck specifically. I think it could also be good in Onyx Eye. Onyx Eye is basically a mid-range deck anyways, but I think this can be good even without Onyx Jaguar. Like, this is just, it's pretty huge for Kalios in my opinion. Obviously it's not going to have too much synergy with Riva, because rather you can play it with Riva. I don't think it would be very good in Riva, but it has much more synergy with Kalios because of his BBS Blink. And like, okay, so let's consider on 5 mana you can blink this thing, of course, to deal 2 damage in AoE, but on 6 mana, which is the same mana cost that Holy Immolation is usually played at, you can blink this, and you can combo it with Misdirecting Seal to deal 4 damage in AoE, which is this exact same card spent to use Holy Immolation. You spend 2 cards, just like Holy Immolation. You leave the body behind, just like Holy Immolation. It's 6 mana, again, just like Holy Immolation. The only difference is that obviously you have to have your BBS up if you want to do that. But even then, this is a little bit more flexible than Holy Immolation and Mechanitor as well, because you don't have to use it with something from your hand. You can just blink it to get a 2 damage AoE, which is still pretty decent. I've seen some people compare this to what card was it? I forget the card. It's the Frostbone Naga, right? 2 damage in AoE, but Frostbone Naga also hits your own minions and it hits your own general, which is pretty bad in my opinion. Plus it stat line isn't as good as this. I think 2/4 is better than a 3/3. And obviously this has potential to do a lot more than Frostbone Naga can do. The flexibility is nice. The fact that you can get 4 damage AoE is huge, especially in Sonkai, which has historically struggled with AoE. Like, this is going to be very good for Kalios in my opinion. I would slot this in as a 3 of in most mid-range Kalios decks, I think. Just the amount of tempo that you generate from a 4 damage AoE is massive, and being able to do that as Kalios is just going to be man, I can't wait. Oh boy, this is gonna be good. One caveat in my opinion is the fact that you have to move it. So that means that you won't be able to get the 4 damage AoE all in the same spot. You have to do it in 2 different spots, which might not be a problem sometimes, but sometimes it will be a problem. Like, let's say, to illustrate, the opponent has they position their general, right? Let's say in the bottom middle tile, they have 2 minions. They have 1 minion to the top left of their general and another minion to the top left of that minion that's on the top left of their general. So let's say you kill the minion that's between the general and the other minion, and you want to place that flame wreath in that spot where the minion that you killed was. I might not be making any sense, but basically you won't be able to hit that spot with a 4 damage AoE. You will have to hit it with a 2 damage AoE, and then you'll have to move the flame wreath again. And there won't be anywhere where you can move it to hit both of those, both the minion and the general again. I don't know, you might get what I mean, but maybe not. But yeah, I think this card is going to be good. The flexibility is nice. The 4 damage AoE potential is amazing. And of course, this combos well with 3 different cards of Sonkai Juxtaposition, Misdirecting Seal, and Inner Focus. So it's not going to be, I think it'll be pretty consistent to get this combo off. All in all, I think this is a really good card. I think it's good for Kalios. I like that they're adding support for him. And this positional base card, what the community is asking for, just really good overall. Very good card. Very good job with this card in my opinion. Obviously I'm a little bit biased since I'm a Kalios main, but don't tell anybody. Alright. I believe that's all the cards. Again, we'll be going over Nethermill in the next video. Thank you for watching everybody. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, leave a subscribe. See ya.